Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show, and a very, very special episode. I am, however, as usual, Chat Show. That's just damn good water. As far as you know. Welcome back to episode 214. Why is it special, you ask? I wish you'd stop with the questions. You're not buffering. I just took a little nap. Why is it a special episode? Well, a number of reasons. The first of which is it's the last episode from the studio auspices of the near great Jason Calacanis, internet mini mogul jerk who 5.5 years ago said, "How soon can you start?" Doing a show from his little studio space here. First over at mahalo.com, which is the begetinside.com, where we've been now the last several years here in your Culver City, California. We've enjoyed this studio, the lights, the cameras, the TriCaster, all thanks to aforementioned Greek Calacanis. But the company's going away, going up north to the San Francisco, maybe the Palo Alto, maybe Mid-Peninsula.
Wait a second, are you saying that the company is going to a big farm upstate? Where it's going to run
like when your parents say the dog
with all the other companies?
That's right. That's right. This show is going to a farm upstate.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Never to be seen from again. We are going to take a couple of weeks off while we literally find a new home. If you're hearing this or seeing us, write to us at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we read your tweets, your emails. At Kevin Pollak, at Sam Levine, at Jamie_Fox.
It's J-A-I-M-E. Like
J-A-I-M-E. Don't mess that up. Kenny Chen, what do you got on the Twitter there? What are you? Not present?
Not present.
Dr. Chen, the evil Dr. Chen, took a Pasadena on Twitter. Write to us. Let us know how you feel about the show and how much you're going to miss us the next couple of weeks while we take some time off to find ourselves a new studio. I'll tell you more about that in a few seconds. Sammy, how was your week?
My week was great. I got to hang out with you on the Warner Brothers lot.
We were kicking it like a couple of old Jews at the Warner Brothers lot as if it were the 40s.
Yep.
The Brothers Warner, yep. Long dead.
Long dead. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have not been pleased to have so many Jews on their lot, let's be honest.
That's right. And, yeah, you're working on a show called
Selfie.
For the ABC network.
For the ABC network, which films just a few stages down from where you shoot Mom.
Yeah.
Stop shooting Mom.
More to come on that as well.
Oh, the TV show.
On the TV shows. Yeah, we weren't shooting my mom.
Okay.
That'd be weird.
Well, if you're going to do it, I know she'd rather you do it on a lot.
It should rather be something to do with show business.
That's right.
When you take my life, Kevin, could it be
live studio audience? It's
on a giant studio lot that's been there since the 40s. Is that possible? I'll go to Burbank if that's what it takes. Jamie, your week?
I'm sorry. I'm just figuring out now why I can't type in the comments section without it telling me that I'm trying to plug URLs.
Uh-oh. I'll let you get back to that because I have a little something else I can talk about first, which is, speaking of Mom, one of the leads of the show, Allison Janney. I'm enjoying some work on the Mom show back at work the last couple of weeks. Very exciting. We debut following Big Bang Theory. I think that's the name of the show. I'm not familiar with it. On the 8:30 on Monday nights on the CBS network there. Allison Janney won her 5th Emmy yesterday. The category was guest star in a drama for the Masters of Sex on the Showtime. And she's nominated for Mom as well, which will be next week, I think the 25th. Pretty sure that's what it said on the on the interwebs.
Something like that.
For her work on Mom.
That's great.
First season, she got nominated. I think it's fantastic.
That's nice.
We might have made out at Friday's taping.
Really?
A bit on camera.
Oh, on camera.
Yes.
I did. Well, you know, show business sweeps you up.
A lot less kissing off camera.
I see.
Yeah. In fact, Jamie, I believe, said to her after the show was done taping, he kissed you more than me.
It's true.
You yelled that at Allison Janney.
Yeah, you always tell me, get off. You're like, it's too hot, get off.
Okay, now you're telling the world.
We all assumed this anyway.
Yeah. So congratulations to Allison Janney on her 5th Emmy victory. Yes, sir.
If I may, really
Please.
quickly, he's fine, and I'm not going to go into any great detail, but Dr. Harris Levine is presently watching this from the hospital.
Oh, boy.
And so I just want to give him a shout out to his doctors and nurses. Just let him watch the show. Just come back. He'll be fine. Just let him watch the show and then come see him after.
They could even slow down the drip, whatever's in the drip,
Yeah.
during this time.
Take it.
That's how happy and sedate we make him feel.
More drugs, though.
Well,
He definitely needs more drugs.
okay.
Just for him.
But you're saying it's not anything that
It's not anything serious.
Okay.
He'll be fine.
Is it a foot massage?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah, ingrown.
Checked himself in?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
On a closer to home, wildly less amusing note, lost a friend over the weekend. The world lost one of the funniest people in the last 100 years. I speak, of course, of Robin Williams. This is our first show back since his passing. And a lot has been said on the news. A lot has been said by late-night talk show hosts. I remember watching a clip of Conan O'Brien because they do shows like that at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and the news came into his show around the same time it broke everywhere. And he knew it would air that night and said, we have to say something, even though our studio audience hasn't even heard yet. Everyone has sort of had their time with it. He meant a great deal to me, having started out in stand-up comedy in 1978 in San Francisco, where he started his stand-up career as well. And he was the local hero to those of us starting out there, myself at age 20, way back when, and him already on the cover of Time magazine with Mork and Mindy. And he would come back all the time and knight us one at a time. And then years later, I got a text from Rick Overton during this tragic time for both of us, because when he and I were brownies in the movie Willow, okay, this way, no, this way, okay, we would find comedy clubs, Rick and I, to go work out at. And Robin, who had a huge ranch in the area, San Rafael, California way, I guess it was about 1988, would do drop-ins with us. And then the three of us would end up improvising on stage together, which always meant I would drift to the back of the stage eventually after about 3 or 4 minutes and just watch Rick and Robin go at it because they were so brilliant and I was not. And then he, over the years was just unbelievably sweet and supportive. You've heard me talk about the documentary film, Misery Loves Comedy. We spoke on the phone about a year ago when he was in the throes of doing his television show. And the scheduling didn't work out, but he was a guy who struggled with depression his whole life, and it just wasn't a public thing. And he lost the battle to it eventually, and that's the most tragic part of this, after creating that much happiness and joy for the world over for his whole career, to be taken by such a powerful chemical imbalance and disease, depending on how you fall on these topics. It's just a horrible end to a legendary performer. And also, every time anyone speaks about the first time they saw Robin Williams perform live, there are very few people you'll say this about. He reinvented an art form that had been around forever. So he did me a solid in my first 1-hour stand-up comedy special on HBO. I did a half-hour prior, but this was my first 1 hour. And in 1992, that was a really big deal for somebody like me to get their own 1 hour. And he did a sketch with me in it, which we have on our YouTube channel, and I posted a link. You can check the Twitter feed. We were going to play it here, and we thought, it's not the time. So if you want to see it, he really did a very, very funny sketch for me. And he had, obviously, just a very small glimpse into his generosity. There was nothing in it for him to help me with my sketch. And it's one of those things, Robin, we'll shoot you out an hour, I promise. We'll get you in. And of course, it's 3 or 4 hours, and he's still there. And just a great, giving, wonderful man, and a great father to his kids, who I saw him grow up from seeds to children to adults. And so as the world pays their respects, I felt it was very important to do so here, and thank you for allowing me. Let's see. Are you enjoying us on the Airwolf Network? This is something we're going to make in our next couple of weeks off. We're going to make more and more about the involvement that we'd like you to be part of as the show expands and grows. Check the at Kevin Pollak Twitter feed for more updates on that, as well as the YouTube channel. Is it just Kevin Pollak's Chat Show? Is that the name of the YouTube channel they just dial up? Everyone's shaking their head yes. We're redoing the website. It's a whole makeover, which is pretty damn exciting.
It's about time.
Well, it's 5.5 years, and forever we'd said we're not ready was our motto, and now we want to go back to that, of not being ready.
Oh, I don't think we've ever been ready.
Right. Will we?
No.
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 And based on what I'm seeing from Jamie's enjoyment of the feed right now, we're still not ready.
I can't.
It's not typing?
I can't log in. I can't make comments into the YouTube, so I can't log in.
J-Mac, if you want to, if somebody wants to come in and take a look-see. Yeah, write to us at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. We really would love to hear from you. We're going to have a new interactive site and updates and all that stuff. Subscribe to us on the YouTube, on the iTunes. Write us a review, you son of a bitch, whatever it's going to take to get involved in the show. From the very beginning you were involved, and we appreciate it very much. We just got a whole new shipment of Kevin Pollak Chat Show travel mugs, which I am dying to send out. Give me a reason. Write to us. Contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. Come up with your very own Larry King game. Videotape the damn thing and send it to us. Send us a link either through Twitter or at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. Let us post it. Let us show your involvement. Love you, miss you, right when you get work. My guest today on this 214th show is celebrating a 10-year anniversary of sorts, which we'll get to. But I believe, Sammy, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
He is our first guest with a twin brother. See? I feel like it's, who are you thinking?
It's Clark Brothers.
Well, that's different.
True.
We had twins on in the in the form of.
Now, I remember many millennia ago when we had Lisa Kudrow on, and I asked her, I was like, "Now you have a twin sister," and at first she's like, "No," and then I went, "Oh," and then she went, "But we do look almost identical."
So yeah, that's not.
So it was not quite this. Also, not quite the same. No. But yeah, I think this may be our first guest with a twin, at least that we know of.
Yeah.
Some people have secret twins.
Tell us about those.
Linda Hamilton.
Secret twin.
Secret twin.
Mm-hmm. Ashton Kutcher.
Ooh.
Secret twin.
Yikes.
He does.
Yes, he does. That's true.
Do you know how we know about Linda Hamilton's secret twin?
Kiefer Southern. No.
Has a twin sister.
Yes, has a twin sister.
Linda Hamilton
never hear
has a
anything
secret twin because in Terminator 2, they wanted to shoot this crazy scene in a mirror where the Terminator's pulling bullets out of her arm. They're like, "How do we do this?" And she's like, "Oh, I got a twin sister. Should I call her up?"
And they said, "Does her back look like yours?"
There it is.
And there we go. All right. Jon Heder, welcome, sir. Where the hell is your twin brother?
I finally get to talk. No, I am him.
Okay, good. I didn't think we could get the actual Jon Heder.
No,
we got
not for a podcast.
No.
Not, maybe with a red background, but
what I found interesting in some of the research was that if the two of you are out together, sometimes people will insist he's the one.
Yeah, that's true.
From the motion pictures. Mm-hmm. That has happened? That's a real thing?
No, it happens more often than not, which is kind of it's bothersome because
for both of you,
I want to be sensitive, but he for the past 10, 15 years has always had about 10, sometimes 15 pounds on me. So when they go to him first, my reaction is like, really? Like, I mean, come on, like
the chunkier me?
Yeah, the chunkier version of me.
Right.
And I don't know if it's like I don't know what that's all about. So
well, if
I let him take the reins. I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it must tickle you to some degree.
It tickles a little bit. I mean,
just a little.
Yeah.
Now, also the research suggests that there'll be times when the missus, the wife, the brains of the outfit, will feel like maybe the two of you, the brothers, are actually closer somehow.
Oh, she hates it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hates it. Well, we share a bond that only time can break. Or death.
You must be. That must just get obnoxious at some point. Do you feel each other's pain? All that sort of crap.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting.
You really want to know, don't you?
No, I hadn't heard this perspective, which is the wife saying, "Yeah, I'm always going to be second when it comes to the bond, the tightness, the thing." But the good news is, you've got a family now of your own, and that's got to help you. Maybe push the twin a little further.
Close that chapter in a book.
Yeah, let it go.
Like, just let him go. Just.
But it's a pretty tight-knit family all around, right?
Yeah. Well, they live pretty close. We live in Studio City. They live in Burbank.
Right.
And that, I think, drives her still even more crazy.
Sure.
Like, she's like, what? I thought we were like, we get married, no more of this.
Yeah. How was he involved when you were punked? Speaking of the Ashton Kutcher.
Speaking of the Ashton Kutcher. Oh, he was the only one that they could go to, because typically for the show they go to like their celebrity friends or someone who knows them in the business. But I was so fresh, like nobody knew me. So the only people they could go to were my agents, and my agents were like, well, we're not allowed to we can't get involved. You can't ask our permission to put him through hell.
Right.
So go elsewhere, you know, and my brother was the only one, and he was like, oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
How do they even contact a sibling who's not in the business, to my knowledge?
It's freaky. They do their homework, and they
track him down.
Yeah, they track him down, and he was in on it.
And how exactly, forgive me for somehow missing that particular episode?
It was interesting because they want to. Typically, if you've ever seen the show, it's like they bring out the worst in these celebrities.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They normally do something to either really piss them off, like trash a car or fake trash their car, or do something to annoy the crap out of them, or they just make him really uncomfortable. So they kept pitching him these ideas, like, well, what if we do this? And he's like, you do that, he's gonna get up and walk out. Like, it was really. So anyways, they ended up dragging me to this fake Hollywood party in the hills.
Okay.
But then they, like halfway through, these fake cops bust in and accuse us of being part of it was a prostitution.
Sure. Absolutely.
Party.
A prostitution party.
Or like, oh, did you know?
That reminds me of my bar mitzvah. It too, as it turned out, was a prostitution party.
And they made me believe that my twin brother, who I was like, he's identical to me, like in every way, like,
right, of course,
that he was involved. Like, oh, we have tape of your brother involved in some questionable activities in the back room.
It's a little too easy for you, I would think, to go, no, you don't.
I know, but I remember when I first moved out here, and that show was at the height of its popularity. Right. I was like, they're not going to punk me. Nobody knows me. Nobody cares. And if he did, that would be a bad business decision, because people are like, who?
To put it a little bit in perspective, almost everyone that had anything to do with show business on camera had that same thought.
Yeah.
I don't want people listening or watching to think you were having a level of concern that maybe wasn't even appropriate. The truth is, once that show was popular, everyone was looking over their
kind of freaking out.
Because you're right, they really did specialize in making asses out of everyone.
Yeah.
I know Matthew Perry for a little while was a car guy, and the guy who directed us in a movie, they reached him and said, would you tell Matthew there's this private showroom for cool cars, and then we'll have this similar bust go down, and Matthew Perry thinking he's about to be arrested for accepting stolen goods. And he got pretty freaked out, and it always works.
Well,
that's the thing.
You don't expect it. You just it was one of the few moments of my life where I was so torn. I was like, my brother would never do that. He would never. He wouldn't touch it. Like, no, he's married, but you're saying so, and you look like a cop. I should believe you, but
you can't really question when the reality is just.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It was so. But then they had us like holding hands, like the cop. I was like, I kid you not. There was a moment where I thought, are these cops gonna rape us or something? Like, is this some weird sick circle? Like, oh. I was so glad when it was over. I was just like, I feel so stupid.
It's nice at the end of the story is that the cops didn't rape us.
Yeah, it was. It was a happy ending.
It's a nice little button.
I mean, a good happy ending.
Yes. So less than happy.
But not a forced happy ending.
Okay. No. I saw online, and we have a photo I asked the fellas to throw up on the television there, or however you're watching the show. Yeah, a lot of people actually watch it through the television. All right, get off my ass. They have a statue now on the Fox lot of Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
How crazy?
I don't know. I'm always speechless. People ask, I was like, there's a statue.
Well, the photo I saw that I asked them to throw up was you standing next to it, and even then the look on your face is, what's happening?
What am I supposed to do? Like, I mean, it's an honor. It's rad. It was kind of like unexpected when I got the call, like, hey, you want to come commemorate the statue? And I was like, I don't know. It kind of stops there. It's just like,
it's always amazing when enough time has passed where someone feels like they want to make something, even in show business, they want to make it even more iconic. And I mean, I can't even fathom the statue part of it. I mean, I had this weekly poker game. One of the guys found I don't know what you call them, the usual suspects.
Action figures.
No.
But they weren't even action.
They're not. If they were actually Legos.
Figurines.
No,
they're little tiny ones.
Bobbleheads?
If they were actually Lego brand, they would be called minifigs.
Right.
But that's copyrighted by Lego, so they were like a generic version of the Lego minifig.
Kubrick out of
Yes.
Where is it? It's Japan.
Ask the Asian.
Yeah. Well, I did look over at him because, as I recall, there was some sort of Asian script on the box. Dr. Chen was kind enough to say.
So they were the Japanese generic version of a Lego minifig.
So to me, it looked like little Weibo, But yes, of the usual suspects in a box, which is like, what? Why?
Yeah.
And he found it online, and it literally came out in '95 or '96, and it's just.
Did you get a copy? Did you have it?
He bought this and gave it to me for my birthday.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy and wonderful. So when I saw the statue and the picture of you next to it, I tried to imagine that feeling. And is it just fantastic, or is there also bewilderedness?
I had never been prepared to even. I've done so many interviews and so many comments talking about about Napoleon and about like, what's it like to have action figures? We had, I don't know if we may have even had a minifig, minifig, that sounds so cute. I'm like, I want to eat a minifig.
That's the Lego version.
Yeah,
like, you think of like Chris Pratt in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
He's a minifig.
That's right.
And so I'm always, but I never even thought, like when we were shooting the film, we'd always joke about, and I, again, in answer to so many of the same questions I've had, it's like, yes, when we were shooting it, we felt, I don't know if everybody's going to see this, but this would be the perfect movie to make dolls to, or to make like figures that have their catchphrases, because Kip's got his lines, and Napoleon has his like Uncle Rick. I mean, every character is so different and visually different. They can each have, you can have the collection.
You pull a string,
but we never once ever thought like, well, what if they did a bronze statue right next to George Washington? I mean, it's not right next to George, but
on the set of the $400,000 budgeted film you were shooting. You didn't contemplate there might be a bronze statue someday on the Fox lot?
Yeah, it's like, and of all the poses, they like had him standing like this with his arms out, and before we saw, I was like, what? Like, I thought they were gonna have like a classic pose where he's just, I don't know, doing like something, but he's just standing there with his hands out, and it's because there's a real tetherball pole right next to it so that he can hold the real tetherball.
Stop it. So out of convenience. To the look.
Like, to be part of it, I was like, I just keep thinking, the Fox lot, janitor is probably like, this damn ball keeps running out of air. I got to pump this sucker up. Like over the years, it's going to weather, but instead we will have that bronze statue of him just like, and it's like, what is he trying to say?
Yeah, but still a ridiculous threat.
Yeah. But I've made it a point of trying to, collect like so many, actors who try to get their memorabilia. Like, I want one version of that so I can put that up.
Yeah.
There is one other one. I won't touch Foxlot, but the creator, this French sculptor who did it, I believe there's one in Chicago, like a replica. So now I'm thinking there's a great idea for a heist movie where, like, the actor with a team of his friends try to break in and steal the other
statue of himself.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And freaking heavy. I don't know how it's possible.
Yeah.
Side note, my boyfriend in high school and his friends stole the Bob's Big Boy statue and hidden in the woods in Pittsburgh, and they got made local news.
Oh, nice.
They got
Was it a senior prank?
They got caught?
They got caught.
How did they get caught? Like fingerprints?
Remember.
Somebody boasted.
Somebody boasted.
And
Somebody
it
squealed.
was very elaborate too. Like each week they would go by and like do like a little unscrew a little more of the screws and like do it like they were like it was very strategic how they would do it.
Like
and then they finally like threw it in the back of a pickup truck one day and like put it like in the backwoods of one of their homes, and then they got caught and had to like pay like a major fine.
Sure. Was it a senior prank?
Yeah, this is when we were seniors.
Yeah, because I do remember ours was a pretty great senior prank and not too dissimilar. We had a giant muffler guy the giant, over the building, and they stole that and put it on top of this gym.
That was the thing. They hid it like there was like a clearing in the woods where we would like go drink. You know, it's like we would like whenever people would like put out couches, for like the heavy pickup, like the trash pickup day, we would collect those couches and put them in the clearing in the woods, and we would go there and drink. And then that's where we put the Bob's Big Boy, and then they found it.
What a
Western Pennsylvania.
Nice.
There you go.
Bob's watching over us.
Yeah.
As we get inebriated.
That's right. And maybe make out. Huh? Now, the celebration of the 10-year anniversary of the Napoleon Dynamite brings up, I imagine a lot of people have been reaching out and asking the memory lane stuff. But the truth is, it really is a pretty great story through the research I've felt about. It's happening on college campuses and has been for many, many years, whether it's film school or not, where people get creative and they find a character and they shoot a short film. But it's absurdly rare that anything more comes of it. You and Jared Hess met at BYU. And
fact checking, right?
Yep. Just a little background. Now, Jared, working on a pretty big film right now, is directing Don Verdeen, Jamie's Dream Sandwich, Sam Rockwell and Jermaine Clement. Hello.
Can we add like a third piece of bread with Jason Schwartzman?
Well, we did.
But he's not. Is he in it?
He's not in the film. Is the problem, I think.
No,
Yeah. So just simmer
somebody
down.
create that movie.
Yeah.
All right.
You already have, and you can go back to it now. But the two of you met in BYU, at BYU, and you are already starting to do some student films. Hadn't really considered yourself an actor per se. You didn't seem to be headed down that path.
I didn't consider myself an actor until probably, it felt like 3 years ago, or even 2 years ago, I started no, I guess I have been paid a couple times now. I am an actor.
Right.
I have to accept it.
So, but when Jared,
Whether I'm good about it.
Yeah.
It was tough. I still lie to them. They still think I'm, just make believe. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
But Jared approaches you in college and says, "We seem to have a similar sense of humor."
Yeah, that's really, I think, how it. I mean, he envisioned this character. He envisioned this short, and he had actually this other kid in mind.
Who was not really going to portray as much as be himself.
Yeah, no, he was like the real deal.
Right.
Because, I mean, Jared had an idea of the character, but he was all about, like, you cast the real people to play that. Kind of in that mindset of, like, what the Coen brothers and even Wes Anderson was doing, was kind of finding these real people.
All right.
And just be you.
Right.
I'll get a couple actors, but for the main part, cast the real people.
Yeah.
And that's originally what he tried to do. And I met the kid, and I got some material there. But
and then you both sort of ended up pulling from your own younger brothers.
Yeah.
Because it was, as you coined, sort of the ultimate younger brother syndrome.
Yeah.
Of just being put out. And I loved how you said you would watch your brothers, or you started to notice these traits when you started to build the character. That they were just, you guys suck. They were just always this thing.
Just constantly, perpetually annoyed
right.
at the world.
Nothing's fair.
And everything's, because it's true, as a younger brother, your older brother always gets to do this first, or gets the bigger helping at dinner, or
right.
he gets to drive the car without, and it's always being the tag along, and so it's fighting against being the tag along, fighting against, and yeah, that's what it was. Is he had younger brothers, I had younger brothers, I was a younger brother. And so we both just, that's who we got to capture. This kid who's just annoyed at everything. Even though Napoleon's older brother doesn't, he doesn't pose a threat. He shouldn't pose a threat.
Right.
Kip,
he poses no threat.
Poses no threat. But still, he gets government grants for his polio. And he still gets special treatment from grandma because Kip's a tender soul.
That's right.
Napoleon, you can handle yourself. So.
Right.
That's really where he came from. It's just always, it doesn't matter if it's mom or dad or older brother or older sister saying what they can't do. They're just like, no, this is retarded. I don't want to do anything. And that's where he was born.
Right. We're going to jump around a little bit. I liked in the research how, and I'm curious where your head was at. When people first wanted to do press with you guys, be it TRL or there was a Letterman's top 10 list, every now and then, especially in the beginning, it seemed like, well, you'll just dress as the character, right?
Yeah.
You're okay with that, to go on MTV as Napoleon instead of yourself?
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about when they decided to do TRLs, or I think it was TRL. With Napoleon on the street, and no one around you got it. They just thought you were really an oddball in Times Square.
It's like, I got to give props to MTV for kind of taking that chance, because it's true. In the beginning, I had no publicist. My publicist was Fox Searchlight, so they were, of course, willing. They wanted me to do everything, and I, not knowing any better, it's like, sure, why not? But it made sense. It was Fox who bought the film first, and it was MTV who kind of piggybacked later on. Because I think Fox was like, oh yeah, they can help us. We need the outlet. So that's, in the beginning, that's all it was like, we got to somehow just get this character out there.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who Jon Heder is. That's fine. If they find out, it's great. If not, who cares? It's Napoleon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we did when we did that TRL, where they did this bit and they go out, and it was part of something they were already doing. They would get these they would get the host. They would go out onto the street.
Well, they're ghosts now.
That was another bit they did, and it didn't work because
every Halloween the host was a ghost.
And they would go out and get live people off the street, just like, hey, you want to go host TRL? So they did this whole thing where they approached me, and that was so much fun because in the audience, this was right when the movie, I think, had just been released in 2 theaters in New York, 2 theaters in LA. Nobody knew except for just a few select cult fans, and I remember some people were in on it in the audience, but most of them were kind of like,
this guy's real.
they're all just going with it because it's like, applause, and just go. The producers are probably like, go crazy, just clap, and this is TRL. You got to look like, really excited, and we get out there and there's like, who is this guy? What is going on?
Right.
Why would they choose him? So we did a lot of those things in the beginning and so I really got a lot of practice in improv because I was constantly playing the character.
Right.
And instead of just being me, I had to I remember talking to Jared like almost after every single appearance. Like, what do you think? Like, let's come up with some ideas for things he could talk about.
Right.
Because there was so many live interviews and stuff. And
was there a point during that where you thought, what if I have to do this forever?
See, I wasn't thinking too
because
far in the
it's
future.
just fun, and then it isn't.
Yeah.
And it seems like from the research, it stayed in the just fun phase.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't overstay its welcome, because the character was and is beloved. It never really got on anyone's nerves at some point. You know, like Pauly Shore was a big hit on MTV for being a goofball and an idiot. And then it kind of overstayed its welcome, and then it probably had a resurgence after some time. But in the case of Napoleon, I think, I don't know, there's a sense of...
You know, I definitely, like any cult character, especially ones that are quoted, I mean...
There's a shelf life?
Luckily, normally people who, if they dislike me, they're not going to approach me. I was, you know, fortunate enough to have people like, you suck, dude, you know, but hearing mostly just from the fans, but I know that existed. I mean, we've all experienced like, okay, enough with quoting Borat, enough already. You just get, I mean, they exist for sure. I mean, people just like, no more, gosh, you're freaking idiots, just no more.
My wife.
My wife, yeah, exactly. And so, I mean...
Although Scott Aukerman still will always say it. There's certain people and certain catchphrases, you know, the truth is you're right.
But he has to know he's made it whenever they reference him on Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Do they really?
Emma...
Are you familiar with the show, first of all?
I know the show exists. I haven't really watched
Degrassi, The Next Generation, Emma Nelson, who is a character.
I think you mentioned on this episode I watched how much you love. Are you really that into Degrassi?
I still watch Degrassi.
I can talk about this. Degrassi.
I still watch it. It's
still going.
It's still going.
Oh,
they're smart. They keep rejuvenating. It's like a soap opera. They
smart.
just keep rejuvenating the cast. They just like keep like
they graduate. They
do that in these foreign countries.
Yeah,
Canada, Australia. There's a show in Australia that's been going on, and you look at their IMDb, and every big Australian celebrity did a bit. I can't
came out of this show,
but it's just like a teen soap opera type.
Yes,
thing.
but there was an episode where Emma Nelson there's a storyline where she becomes anorexic, and she is pretending that she's eating these French fries, and she shoves them in her pocket, and then she's like, I was saving them for later. Did you ever see Napoleon Dynamite?
She did.
So rewinding it, you say that's how you know I've made it is when he's referenced in Degrassi.
Yes, that's how you know you made it.
Hey, look, in your world that works. And
pop culture is just that, though.
Yeah.
You know, when you get into the vernacular, when you get in, and so because the two of you basically created this character, these things have to be just little gems. I mean, there's this. In other words, it doesn't ever get enough already for you guys, right? I mean, it can't, because you sort of gave birth to this.
Yeah.
Original.
No, it is, and it's not. I tell people all the time, because you know, interviewers love to ask, like, do you ever get sick of it? Do you just want to like throw it away? And you know, if I was a working actor at the time who had done lots of projects, and this is another project that I got hired on and paid, and if I didn't like it, then it would be annoying. I mean, I'm sure those celebrities or those actors have existed where they're like, you know what, just enough, I should have never done that, or like, I got to cater to that fan base, but really this is what I'm doing. That was my first film I did. It was totally in the world of the kind of films that I liked and that world. So I'm extremely proud of it. I love it. I still love the movie to this day. And could you say, I get sick of it, but at the same time, it's a different perspective. I don't get sick of it because I know, like, as long as people are quoting it and they seem to still love it, 10 years later, doing all this reunion stuff, you see all these fans, like we've done a couple screenings. We just had one at the Hollywood Cemetery.
Oh, great.
And people were going nuts. And it's that feels good. And you can't deny that, and you can't get upset about it. It's
no.
I have that. And if that's still the character I'm most known for at the end of my career and my life, great. I don't, it's like, it's an awesome character.
The experience at Sundance for you and Jared as the creators, and him as the director, and you as the lead, is also 1 in a million in terms of, let's do the short in college. He and his now wife wrote the screenplay for the film. How did you gather the $400,000? Because even though that's coffee and donuts for the crew and everybody, that's still a lot of money for college kids to think they can make a movie.
Oh yeah, it was our good friend Jeremy Kuhn, who was the producer on it. In college, we were all film students, and I just remember, we were friends with him, but this came more between Jared and Jeremy, where at one point he says, "Look, my brother, owns 1-800-CONTACTS. He's got some cash, so and Jared was aware of that, and it was pretty much like he knew, all right, when the time comes and I know I want to shoot my first feature very soon, I'm going to go to him." And when he did, Jeremy went to his brother, and his brother said, "I knew this day was going to come. That's great. I will give you this X amount of money.
Right.
And if it doesn't make any money back, I'm not going to be upset, but don't ask again."
Right.
And so that's kind of how it went.
And since it did very well.
And I think he made his money back and got some nice presents.
Sure. And also bragging rights forever. Yeah, that happened because I said yes. And the idea initially to get into Sundance was the victory for you, because now you knew, well, someone's going to see it.
Yeah, that was
the distribution, as it turns out, is the thing.
When we shot it, everybody, again, one of the most, the questions I'm asked the most is, did you have any idea? I was like, well, no, we didn't, because we didn't have any distribution deals. We had no idea if, we think this will be great, but for all I knew, it was going to be screened at family reunions for me, for the rest of my, whatever. Like, if they say great, but how do you get it? How do you get it exposed?
And and even 10 years ago, 2004, access to YouTube and
still
ways to stream it online didn't really exist.
Yeah.
And if they did, no one was saying, well, this is how I'll release my film.
No, nobody would ever think of releasing. It was still like, you got to get it there. And so when we heard it got into Sundance, I didn't think much. I was like thinking, cool, but it was Jared. I remember him telling me, he was like, dude, get ready, man. You got to get an agent. You got to, do this.
This is the thing now. Well, having gone to BYU, did the two of you make treks to the festival?
Not together. I had gone once before. Just, again, that was a big thing for BYU film students. So like, dude, we got the biggest, indie film festival right there.
Right.
So yeah, like we would take the hour-long, trek in the winter time up through the snow, and it was very exciting. I did it twice. I did once on my own just to go to Sundance and see a film, and then we actually went again for Slam Dance, because that's when we did the short, which was back in 2001, and the short got into Slam Dance, and then that didn't really do anything for the feature, because it was great. People at Slam Dance loved it, but
but Slam Dance in 2001 was really tiny, and hadn't become its own.
Is it bigger now? I don't.
It's what Sundance was initially. Now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then Sundance is now pretty commercial. Across the board, when you got to see it with an audience for the first time was at Sundance, and that's a whole other experience.
That was Sundance, and that was one of the most amazing, such a memorable experience, because again, Jared, we're both coming in completely kind of different ways. Jared had this was his film. He was dry heaving before, because he was like, I'm nervous. This is my film. This is my baby. And if this doesn't work, then I'm kind of like a failure, or I could lose. I have something to lose. This is my first shot at trying to have a career. I was like, well, I really like acting. I hope to do more, but nobody knows who I am. If this fails, I'll go about my merry way, continuing down the road of maybe acting in other things, or animated. I was an animation student at the same time. So I was just more like, hey, if it sucks, then I just won't do the Q&A, and I'll just slink out the back, because I have the perm. Nobody would recognize me. But when we saw it, it was amazing. And it was like, the audience, and I remember Jared saying, like, from the beginning, yeah, they're laughing, they're into it, but the moment when he's like slow-mo strutting down the street in his new brown suit, that's when he knew, all right, I think we have a shot. And then really was the dance scene.
Forget it.
For the audience has to believe the climax, and if the dance scene works, the audience has to be the audience that's in the movie, right. the high school. And if they aren't feeling what those high school students aren't feeling,
you're dead.
Then it's like, it was kind of an okay film, but then it got weird at the end because he did this ugly dance, and that was really when I got the warm fuzzies, when everybody was into it and it's like
cheering and screaming.
All right, okay, fine, I'll do the Q&A.
And Fox got it, but was there a stir of a few offers, or were they just...
Yeah, there was a little bit of a bidding war, I think a lot of I think Sony was in there, and
because so many movies they go to Sundance are hoping for that, and it just rarely happens. We had Jon Favreau on, and he spoke about the absolute letdown of Sundance, of getting in and not selling and no one caring, literally, for swingers.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, looking back, saying, well, how is that possible? And what people need to appreciate is that's the norm. The norm is that a really wonderful little film is shown there and nobody takes enough notice to give it a life.
No, we were extremely blessed. I don't know if it was just like the timing and they needed to see something.
It tapped
that
into
was so
something
different, I mean, it wasn't your typical Sundance fare. It wasn't officially rated at the time, but it was like PG, and it was just so different. And
well, I don't think you guys can be aware of how the character you created together in Napoleon can actually affect people when you're the ones who are doing it. You hope and want and desire, but even when it's happening, I don't think you can actually be as present as the audience who are going, you've got to see this. I mean, you can't relate to that experience for them that they're having.
Yeah.
You can be delighted by it.
Yeah.
And so the people who are actually doing it are the last ones to know that the frenzy is happening way more than...
You're not, and there's a little bit of bittersweet sorrow, like you wish you were kind of a part of it. When they first released in June, and Fox did this whole website where they, all right, we got to be smart about this because this got no names in here.
Less than names.
Yeah, and less than names at all. And we got to do this, and we got to put. But they did this awesome thing where they show it, and they knew the audience who would see it will love it, so they did repeat. They're like, if you've seen it, come back, but we're gonna give you, they gave the audience like bags of props, just like Rocky Horror Picture Show, where they were like, oh, when this moment in the film happens, bring out your tots, or when this happens, we gave you some milk to drink for the milk judging scene. They like tried to get really interactive, just anything they could do to try to give it that cult feel.
Right.
And it worked wonders, but there was a fervor that whole year of 2000 to the end of 2005, definitely the most, where we were doing college tours, and you just saw that heat that was generating in the kind of the college scene, even in the high school scene, but really with people going and seeing it multiple times. And I mean, to this day still, I love hearing different stories of people saying, oh yeah, I went and saw this movie because my grandparents took me.
Right.
And that's the craziest part. Like, grandparents were like, oh, you gotta see this movie. It's like me.
This kid is a weirdo just like you, Tommy.
And I mean, grandparents were introducing it to their grandkids. And so having those experiences, it was so cool, but I was not a part of it, but at the same time, I was directly hearing about it. That was weird.
Well, I want to talk about having to continue a career and starting at the top. I was listening to Bob Newhart was on Mark Maron's show, and he was talking about he hadn't done any nightclubs when his first album came out. It was just one of those things where someone in a radio station, he was writing sketches and doing bits, and someone there played it for somebody at Warner Brothers or Sony or whatever it was, and they got something going, and they ended up putting this record together, which won 3 Grammys and put him on a world platform instantly, and he hadn't performed live yet. And there was something about working out his act and his material at the top, not working his way up, that I feel in a similar way, if you were going to have a career as an actor, it was a very unusual beginning to create a fictitious character, and then now let's see what you got. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Kenny, do we have the fabulous world of the teleprompter? I'm going to read this wonderful ad from our sponsor. Give you some time to contemplate this question I've put on the table, as it were. Kenny, I see nothing. FYI, in the teleprompter. I'm staring back.
There's no signal.
I'm staring back at
30
myself.
Seconds.
No, actually, in the teleprompter, there's nothing. Just so you know. Should we maybe pause, have a little banter?
We'll do it live.
Little banter. I'm happy to do it live. If only I had written down the copy somewhere in my notes. That would have been incredibly helpful. Hey, something's coming to life in there. Is it?
GoDaddy, right? No, not GoDaddy.
No. All right. Well, Dr. Chen works on the Mad Laboratory. You know, it seems now that we're getting out of the studio just in time, Sam.
Things are.
The place is really falling to shit with the monitors not working, so we couldn't watch the show as we're doing it. Although
this clear water tastes like high C. It's great, but it's weird. I'm like, this is crystal high C, man.
By the way, I have more. Clear crystal high C.
Oh, that okay.
Should you desire. All right, so we will go on to the question while Dr. Chen works out the technical side. So when you have to, as Jared, your friend, said, you need to get an agent now. You need to take show business seriously. This is no longer some fun we were having. You know, you did major in 3D animation, did you not, at school at BYU?
Yeah.
So had you really even decided, because it sounds like when you said, well, if the film doesn't play well, I won't go to the Q&A and I'll go back to the I mean, was that a real thing, or just protecting yourself? Or
no, I mean, I probably, that thought wasn't that serious. It was probably kind of just, you know, in the background, like that was kind of just the general like attitude. I was like, well, I don't have much to lose. I mean,
right, but didn't you? I see it now, Ken. But didn't you, in fact, love the 3D animation work?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I still do. I loved it, and I knew I always wanted to get into the entertainment industry, whether it be through behind the camera and bringing characters to life via animation puppetry or through acting. I mean, I made videos all throughout high school with my brother. And that's all we did. We made videos, we would act in them. I mean, we didn't think of it as acting. We're like, well, what are we gonna do? Hire someone? No, we get me and my buddies. And so there was always a little bit of that, like, you know, seed of acting and performance. And I mean, animation is performance and bringing a character to life. So, but yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I didn't think, my oldest brother had already gone that route. He went to LA.
Getting plays
and he did a few, but he was the actor. He did all the plays in high school. He was the lead in all the high school plays, where I didn't touch that. I was more like, oh, I'm gonna make my videos, and I'm not gonna get up there and sing and dance. So, and he went out to Hollywood, and you know, he didn't try very long because he had started a family. It's like, look, I'm not going to wait tables. I'm not going to do this for that. And that's exactly how I felt. I was just, well, I mean, I'm pretty good at animation. I can do this.
Right.
I really enjoy acting, but the allure of going out and going from nothing, I just wasn't sure. And I didn't really have time to think about that because Napoleon happened.
Right.
And immediately I didn't have to.
It was decided for you.
Yeah.
You're going to do this now.
But and that opportunity was there. I could have said no. I could have walked away, but I was like, I really loved making this movie, and I loved performing all throughout college while we were shooting that film, and in the midst of it all, I was doing other student films, and I was getting more attention from students.
Right.
Doing like, hey, be in this film, be in my short film. And I really enjoyed it. I loved it. So I was like, no, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to go down to Hollywood. I was planning on going there anyways, whether I work in animation, work for an animation company, or doing this. And so it worked out great. Yeah.
I want to know what you're nowhere in show business unless you have people, where the term "talk to my people" comes from. I'm very curious what the people who were suddenly in charge of your career were suggesting you should do next. Because in my experience, they rarely have the right idea. It's not necessarily their expertise, as it turns out. A career path. Because as it turns out, and it's not even their fault, there is no correct path to any of this. There's just the one you choose.
Yeah.
But now a word from our sponsor. So think about that, won't you? TXMQ has been an IT solutions company for over 35 years. TXMQ offers middleware and application integration, platform solutions and services, professional staffing, and ECM and web portals as well. And, don't you know, so much more than I personally understand as I'm reading this to you now. Stop running your company at half production speed and simply head on over to txmq.com. Or why don't you call them, you son of a bitch, at 716-636-0070 and let them explain it all one hell of a lot better than I can. That number again, 716-636-0070. And don't forget to tell them that I sent you. If you think they might have what your business is lacking, please let TXMQ create a better and easier way of doing business for you today. That's TXMQ IT Solutions for over 35 years. And thank them. Okay, so a sale is made. They're talking, the publicity machine from Fox Searchlight is telling you, yeah, just dress up as the character and do this stuff. And at some point, an effort either from yourself or from your people starts to take effect of what's next.
Yeah.
There's been other case studies. There's the Sandra Bernhardt, who was in stand-up comedy for a long, long time, and then got King of Comedy for Scorsese, and did this, I think, Academy Award nominated performance, which blew everyone's mind, and a discovery who this actress was. And then, from my understanding, she said no to everything. And it's a very difficult path to figure out. Again, there's no correct way to do it. So there's the version that she experienced, which is say no to everything, and then eventually they stop asking. And then there's the say yes to everything. I started as a stand-up comedian, and after A Few Good Men, I got offers instead of having to audition. So in the 90s, I ended up doing 40 films. I probably should have only done 7. But when being offered things is new, you just can't believe that everyone is offering you things. And there's a part of you, the way you're raised, you don't say no. It isn't polite. Literally, it isn't polite. They've offered you something. And the scripts were either good enough or great and in between. But there was never a moment where this is absolute crap, of course I'm not going to do this. Because the agents kind of filtered that already, you know. And absolutely I know, looking back on it, that as the sidekick, as the lawyer, as the best friend, as whatever the part was that I was playing, there's only so much that the American audience or large wants to see of any one actor as the sidekick. You know, you have to, there's an ebb and flow to it. And where Stanley Tucci in the 90s was saying to who ran into my then wife, your husband's getting everything. I can't get a job. Now Stanley Tucci is in everything. And is having a renaissance that is spectacular, and huge giant movies, to a point where me and Oliver Platt and maybe Tony Shalhoub were going, is there nothing for us?
What about David Paymer?
And the fabulous David Paymer, who turned to TV directing because he knew that would be a future. The truth is, you have to diversify. if you want longevity. So starting out at the top, as I mentioned Bob Newhart did, it seemed to me as a young performer, actor, you start out in your first out of the gate experience, ended up succeeding far beyond everyone's hopes and expectations. At what point is the discussion starting to percolate of what the hell are we going to do now?
It was, and in correction, it's like, I don't think I exceeded anybody's expectation. Nobody expected anything. Nobody knew who I was. So it was kind of like, it was interesting because and I thought about it for so long. That's how people knew me. It wasn't, I had always, I envied like the stand-up comedians or just the performers who had established themselves. Those SNL guys, they do sketches for years and they do these characters. He's known. Oh, finally he's getting to make a movie on that character. And it's like, oh, that's a Will Ferrell character. That's a Andy Samberg character. Right. Oh, I get it. And they're known for other things. Whereas here's this guy, and literally people thought I was him.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I still like people. Is he really like that?
Right.
So it was never Jon Heder. It was Napoleon Dynamite, and therein is the question: does that haunt you? Well, yeah. Right out of the gate, me and my raps were like, okay, and I'm sure they were thinking way more. I wasn't thinking
it's still a party for you.
It was more party, just like, and it was amazing because I didn't worry as much because I was getting the offers, or there was just everybody's discussing, hey, you want to do this? It was super easy to get representation. So I just put so much stock and trust into them because I'm like, I get, I'm a film star. I know a little bit of how the business works, but I also was like humble enough to realize I don't know exactly how it works. All the business side, I'll let them kind of handle that.
It's an absolute algorithm.
Yeah, and they'll help me out. But I was more on the side of like saying no to a lot of stuff because there was that part of me that wanted to pride myself a little bit on, okay, I am an outsider. I'm not from Hollywood. I came from, I'm from Oregon. I'm this guy who was not raised in a Hollywood family. My dad's a doctor. He has no performance in his blood. I wanted to kind of almost relish that image, and thereby, plus there was a huge part of it was like, I don't know what I really like performing. I really like playing that character, but I don't know. Yeah, and I was excited at the prospect of just trying lots of different stuff or anything, just really. And it was kind of saying yes to the projects that felt like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like Adam Sandler, sure. I mean, he's huge, and I'll do that movie. And but I was also saying no to a lot of projects because I'm like, there was that part of me that still felt like, oh, watch this. I'm going to be careful. I want to show that I can be. I'm not going to say yes to everything. I'm going to be careful.
Right.
So, in hindsight, and everybody wants to say they try to live their life without regrets, and I do. It was like I made all my decisions, and I don't really regret anything because you learn from everything.
But also, you made them for the right reason in the moment, and that's the most anyone can hope for from an important decision.
Yeah.
I stayed true to how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to question it later.
Oh yeah, and I'm always like, oh man, if only I knew what I knew then, what I know now.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
And also, you're getting fans like Lorne Michaels wants to meet with you. That kind of phone call.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, so few people get that call that if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that experience, because that's one of the absolute godfathers of comedy, and talk about now more than ever. Doesn't he pretty much reign supreme in late night between Jimmy, Seth, Conan?
He's in charge of all of NBC late night, essentially.
It's unbelievable.
Monday to Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was so just out of my own. I mean, again, it was so easy for me to take an objective point of view and just really stand 30 feet back and always watch me in these situations. And maybe I did it excessively, but I'd be like, every time I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm like a nobody. Here he is, Lorne Michaels. I grew up, I watched Saturday Night Live all the time. I remember watching the best of and seeing this and that. But
so the call
also
came
trying to play it totally cool. Like, hey,
How's it going, man?
Yeah, just how's it going? And I'm going to be natural. Instead of really trying to necessarily impress, I'm like, I think I can. I think I'll have success or succeed at these meetings or in my career if I'm just like be me, because that's how I did Napoleon. I was essentially kind of playing myself or just being very natural.
Right.
So at this ritzy, Beverly Hills restaurant that Lauren has taken me out to, I'm just going to be me and we'll just chat and I'll just give him my story, because everybody was so into the story of like, how did this movie happen? What? And so Lauren's just, Lauren and just like, okay. And then at the end of, the whole question you're waiting for, the entire lunch is like, so what do you think about hosting? And he's just like, but instead of, I didn't have to ask, he's just brilliant. We have this lovely lunch, and at the end of it is like, okay, well, I don't know if tons of people know who you are yet, or if they're completely familiar already, but I think soon, we should have you on the show. And then it was just a few months later, I shot Just Like Heaven, and then when that came out about a year later, so it was a year after the movie came out.
Right.
They did this, he brought me on. And, they ignored the Just Like Heaven aspect. They're like, we need an excuse. We need basically Jon's next movie so that we can bring him on and do some Napoleon stuff,
Yeah.
And it was a dream come true. It was amazing. But again, it was just so many moments, especially in the beginning, where I was just pinching myself constantly. And still to this day, just like, what? How did I get in a movie with Will Ferrell? Starting with, I don't know.
Well,
it was weird.
A couple questions about the Fabulous Blades of Glory. First of which is, you have to learn how to ice skate to a level of comfort to be on the ice, but also at some point, and this is where the quote must be read correctly.
Do not misquote me.
No.
I hate that.
I need to know how long it took before you felt a level of grace and pizzazz.
Oh, that's not my quote. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Pizzazz.
That's right.
There it is.
But you said you finally got some sort of, there was pressure to reach a level of grace and pizzazz, or I finally felt comfortable when we had a sense of grace and pizzazz.
Yeah. You have to I got so excited. I was like, yes, because I did a little bit of ice skating growing up, just, whatever, nothing. No more than the average person, just going to a few ice skating rinks. But I really liked it. I loved roller skating, and it was skating. I thought it was the same thing. But they said, learning very quickly, this is a movie. We don't need to train you to ice skate. We need to train you to look like what you need to do in the film. If there's to look somewhat comfortable when you're getting on all the difficult stuff, we're not going to train you to do the difficult stuff. That's going to be for,
stunt doubles.
Yeah. But the magical moment was the first time Will and I met was on the ice.
Really?
We hadn't met before then, because when we did the table read, and it was actually originally Ben Stiller, because it was his company who produced it, and he was originally going to play the role. And then due to scheduling conflicts and stuff, he was like, and it didn't work out, but he's like, don't worry, Jon, we'll get someone good. I was like, oh man, you're pretty good. It's gonna be hard to replace. And then
we can't replace you, Ben.
No.
Will Ferrell.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. So we met for the first time on the ice, and that was great, because Will, who's this comedy, just giant, and literally, he's big. So I knew I was going to be intimidated from, day one, but we got on the ice, and it really helped, because you could see the trepidation, a little bit of the fear in his eyes, or just the uncertainty. And I remember him very well just saying, so you ready to do this? He had such a hard time on the ice. He's a big guy, and tall.
They're just little blades.
Yeah,
under the shoes.
You know what? He really was show pony in the world of the comedy, and I was the Clydesdale in terms of the skating, and then. So yeah, it was. We had to train, and it was especially hard because I, just a week or two into training, I broke my ankle.
Yes, you did. What is that like, John?
That hurt like crap. Oh, it hurt, and yeah, it sucked because actually more than the pain, I just immediately remember, crap, I'm screwed. Like
they're going to replace me.
They're going to replace me, and they were very gracious and very wonderful in not replacing me. And I remember almost thinking, like, you got to just do it, like trying to be a martyr and everything, like, just leave me, go, save yourself.
Let me bleed out on the ice.
And they were awesome enough to reschedule, move some things around, and we were able to shoot a lot of the film, and then we took off a couple months. For me to heal and then to retrain and then shoot all the skating stuff like later in the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you did have to come up with certain moves of grace and pizzazz.
Oh yeah.
Even if they were shooting you only from the waist up and you were in, a moving car instead of actually on ice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You had to like.
And there are some names that came along with some of these moves. One was. Fairy dust or something? Some kind of dust.
Fairy dust?
So there was some kind of dust, wonderful dust.
Okay, yeah, there was
Magic
my
dust.
Signature move that Jimmy was like, he always was like,
right,
like
that's
you
what
like,
it was. That's what it was.
And
yeah.
And literally, I think the first thing he does that I have glitter in my hand and like,
yeah.
And it was like, remember, yeah, that, or when I release at the end of the first sequence, I sit there and I get up and then I release this dove.
Right.
And Scott Hamilton, my favorite line is like, and it's important to remember, folks, he had that dove with him the entire routine. Right. So yeah, we had some great moments, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Now that's the big top circus. That's the big splashy studio comedy co-lead with arguably one of the funniest human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
At what point does that feel okay and right and at ease? Are you the type that you just go with it? Whatever?
I just go with it. I mean, that's
all you can do.
That's all I could do instead of
fretting and
yeah. And I was like, yeah, like I'm so lucky to be in this position.
But also Ben Stiller, as you said, had the world of comedy to choose from for his initially co-star in the film.
Yeah.
And it was his decision to hire you. That's the sort of vote of confidence that you kind of need.
Again, yeah, it was.
And it's all you need, really, to say, oh, I've been selected.
Yeah.
He knows what he's...
Well, there was definitely that part of me that understood the it guy and that kind of idea like, okay, I'm going to be getting calls. People want to do stuff with me. I'm like, who's going to be making the call? Oh, Ben Stiller wants to be and have lunch? That's amazing. I mean, he's a huge name in comedy, if not one of the biggest.
Yeah. Steve Stiller, not so much.
He's funny. It's great. Right? Yeah.
Steve Stiller wants to have lunch. Not quite as exciting.
Hey, I would have heard Stiller and I'm like,
are they related?
Awesome, yeah.
I
just would have heard like, but they're paying for lunch. It's normally comped by them. That's awesome. If they invite you, they normally comp you. So.
Or you can send your brother to the Steve Stiller lunch. So, yeah, you show up to work and I've been selected. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Again, I'll do what I do. Because they wanted me, and I'll do my best.
Right.
I'll do my best to learn from the best.
Right.
I'll listen to everything and try to soak in this tutelage that Will was giving me, if not on purpose, just through everything he did, just watching.
We found him in our few run-ins with him to be unfairly nice and polite to everyone.
Yeah.
Unfairly, really, to the rest of the civilization. It's always wonderful when that happens, and it ends up being genuine, and that's just who he is.
Yeah.
But when it's a heightened reality of you're co-starring in a movie together, I would think that it makes the ride that much more enjoyable.
It just made this, especially doing a movie that's so over the top and so ridiculous. The concept alone, it was like, we're not going to take ourselves seriously. We are going to, seriously give our all and do our best to be funny and to be entertaining. But
the premise
the premise alone was just so easy. Every time I pitched to someone, so easy. Like, yeah, I'm doing a movie with Will Ferrell where we're playing male figure skaters and we skate together. And they're just like, oh.
Start as competitors and then have to team up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer on every level.
And he was, and like you said, he is unfairly nice. He is so easy to work with and just giving, and it was always just that. There wasn't a lot of stress. It was of the films I'd done and have done, it was the most physically demanding.
Of course.
Yeah, I haven't done, a lot of action films or anything, so in comparison, it's nothing. But still, I was like, the first time I had to go on a diet, the first time I had to train to be good at. It's the first character I played where I had to be good at something. Like up until then, I was like, I sucked at everything. And
I like that your first memory on the list was first time I had to go on a diet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, well, that's unheard of. Why would I need to go on a diet? It's because I ate so many craft services in the last film I did because it was amazing. I was like, on Napoleon, we didn't have craft services. We had like burritos and quesadillas every day, and then here we had a plethora of these amazing cornucopias and like dessert. They had chocolate. I mean, I remember. I mean, seriously, my first video film I did, I gained 15 pounds probably.
Well, the first time in show business when they say there is several tables over there of every kind of food you might like, and if there's nothing you do like, please let us know. We'll send someone out to get it. When show business does that weird thing, you're going to gain weight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no way around.
And I actually learned pretty quickly how to take advantage of people. No, how to truly accept when people were offering, and still to this day, like when they offer something, and you can see it in their eyes, they want to give. It's like they want to give their firstborn child because it would be a great honor to their family.
That's right.
It's that idea of like, all right, I'll take it.
And then at some point,
why not?
Honey,
like, it makes them feel good.
That's right.
Right? It makes me feel good too.
Honey, we have 17 kids now. We need to stop saying yes.
And yeah, it was that kind of idea. Like, taking now, it's like, I'm getting older, I have a family, I had to, be conscious of everything to do. But in the beginning, it was. I'm painting a picture like I lived a life of excess. Oh, dude, I was just in my trailer, just owning that chocolate cake, and it was. But yeah, it was great.
How is it that you've not been on a television show? I have to assume things have been offered. So, is this a conscious choice to not?
No, I actually just started like 2-3 years ago, starting to make that attempt. I never really thought about it. Yeah, just and try out and go out for television.
Right.
So I'm making a hearty effort right now.
Okay.
And we'll see. I mean, there's some close calls.
But it must have been something you purposely avoided?
I wouldn't say avoided. I just didn't think about. I wasn't like, ew. But I mean, of course they talked about it. I was like, well, I mean, I'm getting movie offers, and I've always enjoyed movies.
Right.
But of course, being a family guy now, and it's like, oh man, TV would be great. And for me personally, TV has gotten so much better in the past 10 years, and just. I don't watch tons, but what I do, the fact that I watch any television, back then I don't watch in college years and soon after, I didn't watch anything.
Right.
And so there's a mix of, this is a great medium, they're making great stuff, it'd be awesome to be on any one of these shows.
Right. There's too much content.
So much content.
That's the problem.
Too much content?
There's too much content. Yeah. There's no way to catch up, John.
Oh.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Well, I mean, especially podcasts. So many bloody podcasts.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, there's just so many. So you have to pick and choose.
But I'll tell you this:
2 or 3 that you subscribe to.
About the podcast, there are very few that have games like Who Tweeted.
I knew it. He was gonna do something else.
Wait,
how does that game go?
We're gonna learn. Our very own Sam Levine's going to tell you. Please roll
the intro.
The intro that we cannot.
Celebrities have so much to say.
Who tweeted?
Is the game we're gonna play.
Yes.
Oh, and we're back.
Sammy, please inform our lovely and talented guest how Who Tweeted works.
He is lovely, isn't he?
He really is.
It's a strong beard. I like the beard and the mustache. It's a strong mustache.
I always thought it was a little patchy, but thank you.
No, it's okay. It's it's no Keanu Reeves beard. That's you want to talk patchy.
Ooh.
That should never happen. It should never happen. Now,
Yes.
here's how the game works. So, since now this hasn't come up in conversation, but I know it's not a secret that you are a proud Mormon. So for today's Who Tweeted, Ms. Jamie Foxx has decided to go with the stars of the Broadway program The Book of Mormon, Josh Gad, Andrew Rannells, and Robert Lopez.
Now,
Robert Lopez is the composer. Or he wrote all the
He wrote the
music.
book.
And youngest EGOT winner. He's the youngest person to ever receive an EGOT.
are you familiar with the EGOT?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So that's an Emmy.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's an Emmy.
How
How many
He
people
won the
have gotten
Oscar.
EGOTs, or is that
I'm not
another
sure.
step?
That's another thing I have to
discussion.
look up. I know Whoopi Goldberg. has
Whoopi
one.
Goldberg is the only one that I know.
I-
Daytime
I know.
Emmy.
I'm sorry?
Rita Moreno is an EGOT winner.
So it's
and-
Emmy, Grammy,
Grammy,
Oscar, Tony.
And he won the Oscar this year for Let It Go for Frozen, and then he became the youngest EGOT winner. He also, and I just want to add this because I'm a
Sure.
giant Disney theme park nerd. He also wrote all the original music for Finding Nemo the musical, which you can only see at Disney's Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World, and it's pretty amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
You're thinking
it's-
of going soon this year.
Oh, well.
First time.
What age are the kids?
They're 7 to 9 months.
Oh, it's time.
Yeah.
The 7-year-old's going to
But
lose it.
Finding Nemo the musical, I don't understand why it's not on Broadway yet. It's so good.
Really?
Yeah, it's like Lion. If you've seen Lion King?
Yes,
On
of course.
Well, I mean the Broadway version.
Oh no, I have not seen the Broadway.
Okay, well it's like that where it's like the actors are the puppets and they're like the different fish,
Yeah.
and it's so magical, and
Right
the
on.
music's really really good.
Okay, Sam.
Well, there you go. So, one at a time, I'm going to read a series of 8 tweets. And these tweets were all authored by either Josh Gad, former guest of this show, Andrew Rannells, or Robert Lopez. Once I begin reading the tweet and you feel that you know who wrote it, one of you ring in by saying your own name, and then I'll
it's
point
a total
to you.
guessing game.
Yeah,
you'll
wait,
have-
Robert Lopez is the one who did the music. You said.
Yes.
Okay.
He wrote the book.
I can figure something out.
So you
I
ring
know
in, you'll have
Josh.
3 seconds to say either Josh Gad, Andrew Rannells, or Robert Lopez.
Josh, Andrew, or Robert will do.
Very
First
well.
names are fine.
First names are fine. Josh, Andrew, Robert. You can throw out last names. Gad, Rannells, Lopez. Whatever you're comfortable with.
And so you know, these are chosen by Jamie so that they're not obvious who wrote it. So even if you're not certain who might write one of them.
Fair enough. Although some of these, I don't know. Some
Okay.
of these I hope you'll get.
Your voice went up when you said that.
A little bit.
Whoa, it keeps going higher. don't provoke him. He might die soon.
Ring in and get yourself a correct answer. You get 5 points.
How many?
5 points for
Okay.
correct answers.
How do we
Ring in,
ring
you
in?
get it wrong. You lose 3 by saying your own name.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I'll
You
point
don't have to
to
smack the table.
Ring in, you
I
lose
said
3.
John?
At
Just
the
say
end
John.
of 8 points.
Because if we
winners-
both go, we might
Ooh,
not.
wait. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That's the
I'm
prize.
talking about.
That's
That's the
what we're talking
prize.
about.
Yeah.
That's for who's in the lead after 8 tweets. Are you prepared to play? Who
Yeah.
tweeted? Josh Gad, Andrew Rannells, or Robert Lopez edition?
Josh, Andrew, Robert.
Do it.
Tweet number 1.
Water?
Oh, I'm ready. Oh yeah.
Clint Eastwood has invented no less than 3 new Broadway shows tonight.
John. Robert Lopez.
I'm sorry, no.
Dang it! I thought.
I know.
Okay, now I'm going to change up my strategy.
I know. That was Mr. Josh Gad.
Ah.
I don't know what that was in reference to. I want to say his appearance at the RNC, but maybe, who knows. Tweet number 2. Do sweat the big stuff.
Kevin Robert.
That is correct.
See how you do it?
Wow.
Did you watching my tells and everything? Jeez.
Cocky. The game
Oh,
is early,
are you a poker
sir.
player? Or you just know that term?
I just know.
Game is early, sir. Tweet number 3. Speak in Chinese, but softly and not in my ear.
That's actually a really funny tweet.
John, Andrew. Come on.
Come on! Sammy, what are you doing?
It was Robert was.
Oh, I should have.
It's funny because I picked these and I was like, oh, I think that was Andrew. No.
You didn't even know. You picked it.
It's hard when you don't know. Like, I know Josh, but like,
I'm with you.
I don't know their style of tweet.
I don't know.
Style in tweeting?
I don't know Robert or Andrew.
Yeah, this is a very tough one. This is a very tough one.
Which I like. I like that it's tough.
I wanted to put Trey or Matt in there, but they don't have Twitter accounts. There's like a South Park Twitter account, but it's run by Comedy Central and it's garbage.
They just, okay. It's good that we both don't know. Just keep that in mind.
Tweet number 4.
It makes me feel worse.
Asked my Uber driver if we could listen to something more mellow. He turned on the Katy Perry Pandora station.
No idea. I will guess Kevin Andrew.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
Don't I get to then say John and not Andrew, but one of the others? It doesn't work that way.
No, I'm afraid not.
Because then you have a 50-50.
Did you say I was correct?
Yes, I'm
You're afraid that
Oh, he's right?
Yes, that's right. Unfortunately,
I thought he was being all
correct.
like, unfortunately, that is.
Oh no, unfortunately, that is correct.
He doesn't like when I
win.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. All right.
He knows I don't
Just
like.
throw it out. All I have to do. Okay, 1 and 3. 1 and 3.
Okay, here we go. Tweet number 5.
This is going horribly.
It's like paper, rock, scissors.
Now little girls everywhere can say, when I grow up, I want to be Thor.
John. Josh.
Yeah!
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 Very excited.
Total guess. Is that 2 to 1, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's 10 to -1.
Oh, well, that's right.
But don't worry about it.
Oh, so I get docked if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you lose 3.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Gosh dang.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Tweet
All right.
number 6.
That's right. There's 3 tweets left.
Introducing hip hop at the Tonys is like serving ham and cheese at a steak.
Kevin Andrew.
Wrong!
I knew it. But I don't get.
Why are you so
It's
happy?
Robert. It's Robert, isn't it?
It's not. It's Josh Gad.
But you don't have
Who
to.
of these guys would reference a satyr?
Oh.
Oh, I missed the Seder part. That's true.
Well, that's all right because it's only 7 to -1 now, so you can give yourself that plus. That attaboy.
Yeah.
Tweet number 7.
You need to get both of these right.
Or you need to get one wrong, and he needs to get one right. And then it's
Oh, there you go.
if you get both wrong, what does that do?
he still wins. Tweet number 7.
No, that would make it -1 to -1. Oh, no, I still win. You're right. Tweet number 7.
Did that man on ABC just referred to The Lord of the Rings as a reality show?
Kevin Josh.
Wrong!
He's so happy.
He just jumps in so fast. I'm trying to think. Okay, but that's okay.
That was
because
Andrew.
This one.
Well, this is very exciting because here's where we're at now. Here's where we're at now.
Here's where we're at.
If you ring in and get this right, it's a tie.
It's a tie. That's what. No, I can see the score right
Kevin
there.
rings in and gets it wrong. Unfortunately, he's still going to win.
Win. Okay.
But if you ring in and get it right, Kev, you. So really, do the honorable thing. Attaboy.
He doesn't have to do squat. I'll
tweet-
do it for him.
Tweet number 8.
It's on you, sir.
Tweet number 8.
I'm going to kick back and enjoy a cocktail of ice.
No, don't give this to me.
Ice drops.
Bad posture separates us from the animals.
John. Andrew. Come on, sis. Just make it up. Just lie. Just lie. I went for it because did we get any Andrew tweets in there?
2 Andrew tweets in there. I'm
gosh,
sorry.
That's okay.
That
it's
was,
fine.
That was Robert.
No, look, we're all winners.
We were having.
Everyone's
You
winning.
add at the end of that tweet, except the weasel.
He did not. I would have added it. Bad posture is what separates us from the animals.
Except
The weasel.
Except
and the sloth.
Except the reason. Oh.
And the sloth.
Are you a Simpsons fan? Oh, wow. These two can quote Simpsons till they pass out.
Oh, I'll give you a run.
Thank you, Sammy.
My pleasure. That is how you play Who Tweeted. No.
He's like, hey, wait, this is mine.
I
recognize it.
So much to say. Is the game that we just played.
You can give them a run for their money on the Simpsons quotes?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah. Seasons 1 through 9.
All right.
We go up
years.
to like 11 or 12.
I go to like 11 or 12.
Let's do
It'll be
1
a
through
little
9. Let's do 1 through 9.
Strictly 1 through 9?
So how will we do a three-way challenge if one of you says it, the other one has to say what episode it's from, or do the very next line?
Or like the next.
It's almost like it's hard how you.
yeah, it's a
I
hard
usually
context.
do the next line. Like one.
Oh,
Like,
that's a good one.
I remember one day you and I were texting back and forth, and we got up to like 22 lines from Bart Gets an Elephant, and then we were like, we just have to stop.
Yeah.
But like if I said I wash myself with a
Right.
rag on a stick,
That's King Size Homer.
yeah, you don't necessarily know what the next line is, but you know the episode.
No, well, he just chases Lisa around.
Do you have a favorite character of all time? I got to go
Simpsons?
Sideshow Bob myself.
Oh, really? Who?
I mean, I love Mo.
Mo's pretty great.
Mo's my favorite.
Jeez.
Do you know there was a Mo line from one of the later seasons, probably season 17, 18, somewhere in there, where it was a weird flashback episode where Homer and Marge are kids at like a sleepaway camp. And Mo is also at the sleepaway camp. And then someone gets Mo is at the receiving end of a prank phone call.
As a child.
As a child. And he literally hangs up the phone and then says, and that's the origin of that joke.
Now, speaking of...
Gil is my favorite. He doesn't get a lot of love, but Gil's like,
Gil.
oh, jeez.
I gotta get the sale.
Oh, no, don't put him on the phone. Oh, hey, Tommy, how are you?
I drew this perfect doodle of Gil, and I gave it away, and I regret it to this day. I'm like, I wish I would have kept it.
Now, Jamie, also tell John what he can look forward to when he goes to Orlando.
If you do go to Orlando, the only reason to go to Universal Studios...
Besides Harry Potter Land?
Oh, I see. I've never seen or read Harry Potter, so I don't know. But they have. I'm sorry, but they have a whole Springfield. Like you can visit,
awesome.
You can go to Moe's Tavern. You can eat a Krusty Burger.
Really?
You can go to Lard Lad Donuts. You can
eat a lot of unhealthy things.
Yeah, you can have a Duff beer. There's Duff Gardens. There's
dude.
At Moe's.
Duff beer for me.
Going to Duff Gardens.
Hurrah! Homer Cleese cares not for beans.
You can pick up the phone at Moe's and you'll hear a crank call.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You
That's
can do
amazing.
that.
It's like
great.
Toontown, but for adults.
There's a love tester in Moe's.
Oh, yeah?
You can do. It's not the Love That at Grandpa.
No, that would have been amazing.
But there's a love tester. But it's pretty. It's for any Simpsons fan. It's down to the T. Like there's at the Quickie Mart, there's a sign up that's like, do not accept checks from like Homer J. Simpson, Homer J. Fogg.
All those little details from those moments. Oh,
That's
man.
so great. They sell Bort keychains and license
Bort?
plates.
Oh, we are out of Bort license
I have a
plates.
Bort keychain in
Are you
my
talking to me?
purse.
No, my son's name is also Bort. Your larger, fatter, balder son has also been detained.
Ooh, recipe-related bumper cars. That's one of my favorites from that episode.
Ooh, with a dry, cool wit like that, I could be a super. Anyways, Homer.
What was I laughing about again?
Oh yes, that crippled Irishman. Is that from my favorite episode, Springfield with the dollar sign?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's my favorite episode.
That's not the monorail episode.
No, my favorite episode is the casino, Burns' Casino.
Oh, yeah.
Monorail episode written by your friend. You've been on a show many times.
Oh, Conan.
Yes.
Yes.
He's gonna sing it at the Hollywood Bowl. They're
they're doing a
Are you
Simpsons.
aware of this? That they're doing several nights of Simpsons at the Hollywood Bowl. They're going to show they're going to do all the original music from the Simpsons with the orchestra.
And some of those the Alf Clausen, right? Who did so much of that music.
You got to get in on this, John.
I will. Well, I normally focus on Spielberg. I mean, on John Williams tonight. But I've done that. I haven't done Simpsons yet.
But you knew the name Alf
We've
Clausen.
done Warner
That's
Brothers
impressive.
night. The Warner it was Bugs Bunny at the Symphony, and it was all Warner Brothers shorts. That was a lot of fun. I like that one.
Oh man.
Now, did you see the Book of Mormon? Is that something you
I haven't
do?
seen it. No, I would see it.
Yeah, because I'd heard from.
I just have to wait for it to come to L.A. Oops.
Oops, it did.
It did.
Twice.
No, I just I haven't gotten around to it, but.
And your 2-year mission, as it were, took you to the Japan.
Yep.
Where you learned to speak
in the Japanese.
in the Japanese
dialect and.
how long does that take to speak well enough to stop apologizing for it?
4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was about 4 months in, and I remember when I understood my first phone call with a stranger and being able to kind of handle myself well enough.
Right.
Yeah. But you're speaking it every day to Japanese people, and that's how you learn a language. You just have to speak to Japanese people. Any language, just talk to Japanese people. No, you talk to the natives, you talk to those in that language.
You hear the rhythm of.
And when you're conversing with them, as opposed to just wearing headsets and practicing the lines.
Or learning straightforward things like, where's the bathroom?
Yeah, yeah. And you just have to jump into the trenches and figure it out. And weasel your way through and weasels are good at doing that too, except for the weasel. Yeah, it was about 4 months. Yeah.
How ridiculous! It seems utterly fish out of water in every way, shape, and form as an experience, but it also feels like it must have been extraordinary.
There's a saying in the church where they say it's the best 2 years of your life. It really was.
Because you're so focused.
It's unlike anything you've ever experienced. You're going for completely different purposes. It's a service, a volunteer thing. You're going and you're learning new culture, learning about the people.
Well, that's the part that I think is important that I wasn't thinking about, which is you're volunteering of your time for a higher purpose than your own personal needs, no matter what that is. Jamie started last year volunteering at the wonderful 826 LA, teaching creative writing to kids. And the idea of it, giving of one's time to the benefit of others, is pretty spectacular and something that most people talk about and think about and then don't actually do.
Yeah.
And then there's to do it a couple of times a week, and then there's to spend, I'm going to take 2 years to do it. That part of it is something that I think most people couldn't wrap their head around.
Yeah, like another guy that I volunteer with, that I work with regularly, Patrick, he does Habitat for Humanity, and if he's not doing that, that's what he's doing, and that blows my mind. And I always tell you that, and he and I were always competing to have the most hours at 826 LA, and he was always beating me slightly, and then he went off to do more Habitat for Humanity, and I was like, here's my chance to catch up, because he's too busy making homes for the less fortunate.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is that the whole, is that the driving factor, that there's a sense of...
when it's part of your culture growing up, and it's almost expected, but not, it's not enforced, it's not mandatory.
Right.
But, my dad went on a mission, my older brother went on a mission. Yeah. It was just kind of you're okay, I should do this.
You get to do it for 2 years. That's the way you look at it.
And you look at it, it's just and you have no idea where you're going to go.
Right.
So it could be Japan, it could be Salt Lake City, or it could be, you're hoping somewhere awesome.
Yeah. But
regardless, it's still going to be, you're going away from home, you're going to be living with, you have a companion the whole time that you're assigned to, and they change over the course. You get multiple different companions throughout. So you're having to learn to live with someone that you've never spent time with, and you're without your mommy, who's there to wash the dishes and fold your laundry. I'm 36.
When it happened, you were?
I was 19.
All right.
And so it really was kind of after high school, it's also an opportunity to go see the world in a certain way, where it felt like it's so the right time where everybody has their friend or themselves who went on that backpacking trip across Europe. Right. You hear so often oh, we're going to go find ourselves while we trek the Swiss Alps,
Yeah.
And that was my Swiss Alps, going, and for 2 years, and I had never been separated. Going back to the twin, we grew up living the exact same life. We had honestly, up until that moment, I don't think we had ever been separated. We went to school together. We did all our scout camps together. We did
sports.
Everything we did, it was together, because it's not that we needed each other, but it's we had the exact same talents. Why not? We were both into art. Why not do that? So it was a chance to separate from family, separate from him. And there was that part of me that's what is that going to be like? I wasn't scared, but I was curious. Am I going to snap? Am I going to go nuts and pull out a katana blade out of the nearest Japanese person? Because they all carry them, right? No. And it was great. I had no problem. He also went to Japan, which really kind of helped. Because then afterwards, we were just oh, you guys thought it was hard to understand us then. Now we're just going to gab to each other in Japanese. That lasted 2 seconds. So we just got back to English pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
the person that it's two people on the mission, right? And was it from a completely different city and town at this other?
Well, you go to a mission, and then you're signed by the mission president a companion.
Oh, okay.
And it will change. You know, I had like 15 different companions. You always have just one, but then you get transferred to a new area and you get assigned to a new companion. And I had Japanese companions, I had New Zealand companions, I had Australian companions, I had American. I mean,
that's got to be.
They can be from everywhere.
A great part of the whole experience as well.
It's everything in this 1-2 year bundle. It's like quite a vacation package. You know, you just get to go to this foreign, exotic, culture shock land where, I mean, the first night you're like, oh wow, this is why they made Blade Runner, because this is the real deal. People have glowing umbrellas and it's raining all the time. And it's Tokyo, and that's I'm describing Tokyo, and so just the food and the smells and the sights and the sounds alone is also a culture shock. But then you're living with this guy and you're like, all right, we got to go jump on our bikes. You bike everywhere.
And you hadn't had a roommate really in life, had you?
Except, but I knew what it was. I had my twin brothers, so I don't know if that was preparation, maybe.
A total stranger.
Yeah. But it was a total stranger I didn't know.
Right.
But
you're kind of forced to grow up a lot in those 2 years. It seems like that might be.
There's a huge part
of it, and maybe by design.
Yeah.
For that, when you start at that age.
Yeah, I think knowing like, well, this is, I think the church is like, well, it's best to do it at this age because you are like, you're young and you're fit. You can actually ride a bike still.
Right.
You can do all these things. You're not married. You're not. You don't have a family. It's easier to sacrifice your time when you're doing that time. But yeah, I mean, you learn so much about everything, and it was amazing.
That's awesome. How much of your time do you spend scrutinizing and/or thinking about 3D animation? I imagine it's changed absurdly since you were studying it.
I'm as critical as ever. When I get very passionate about, films in general, but especially animated stuff, like where I watch something and I go, when you get me talking about Pixar and DreamWorks and all these other ones, I just start like, I was livid at the Oscar this year when they didn't, Monsters Inc. was the best animated feature last year, and it didn't even, Monsters University.
Right.
And it's that level of passion. I was just like, when I discovered that it didn't get nominated, that's what I'm saying.
I was like, I don't even think it was nominated.
No, it wasn't even nominated.
I didn't think so.
I was livid. I was just like, what? It's like, these made it, but Monsters University, like, it was amazing. And
what one?
Frozen.
Frozen, right.
Frozen, yeah.
It's also political in the animation world.
It's just, it is how, no, I was like, there's still that part of me that was like holding on. It was almost like a little bit of me died inside when I was like, oh, how did it didn't even get nominated. And so, but that's kind of how I love animation. And, and I'm always looking for opportunities. I've done voice work before, and I've done a lot more recently. But there's that part of me that, like, hopefully sometime in the future, I'm always trying to find ways and opportunities at home to tinker on Maya and all these, softwares, and trying to get back into it. And I think, at some point in my career, I'll get back behind the Wacom tablet and doodle and get some more stuff done.
Nice. I have questions that have come in from the fans.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You're such an animation fan. Do you have an overall favorite? Like, what do you think is? I don't want to say like favorite animated movie, but what do you think is like a great breakthrough in animation? Like what movie?
Miyazaki is one of my favorite directors in general. I think he makes animated films like live action, like he shoots it in a way. And Hayao Miyazaki, I'm sure all the animation fans know, but I mean, any of his films. When you think of Totoro and Spirited Away, I mean, pretty much his entire library blew me away. But when I saw when I saw Incredibles, I mean, now see, I'm going to get started because there's so much. I mean, growing up, there was this or that, but like in my adult years, I mean, Incredibles and WALL-E just, you're talking about what changed the game? Or what?
I think like as an adult, like I go back and I love Fantasia so much more as an adult than I did as a child. Like I thought it was so boring with it, and now I see it, and I was and I realized, and it's one of my favorite, like my favorite Disney villain of all time now is Chernabog, which is from the Night on Bald Mountain segment, and I love it. And he's just, I love that, and I was just.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does change in certain, shows you watch as a kid or. Things that you think were awesome when you were a kid. Black Cauldron.
Frozen is getting such a popularity, but is it really that great?
Do you want me to get started? No.
But that's what I mean. Like it's getting all this popularity, and it's like I love Olaf, and but it's like it's just a sing-songy Disney.
No, I've always promised I could never do a podcast myself because all I would want to do is just talk about. Films and projects. So, talk passionately about the stuff I love, but stuff I don't love. And then I was like, I still might want to get hired by these people. Yeah. So
if I say Guardians of the Galaxy,
what?
If I say Guardians of the Galaxy,
I haven't seen it yet, but I want to see it.
You have to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah.
This from Tom Delay, D-E-H-L-I, Delay.
Tom Delay, Senator.
Sure. The tweet
he's
5.
He's a fan of me. He's going to make a call out real fast.
The tweet 5 is 5 questions, rapid fire, designed by the fan, Coke or Pepsi kind of questions, designed specifically for you. For example, John Holmes or Sherlock Holmes?
Sherlock.
Sure. Poker or Pokemon?
Oh, poker.
Mad Men or Mad Women?
Is that a show? Mad Women?
Alfred Nobel or Napoleon Bonaparte?
Napoleon Bonaparte.
American football or World Cup soccer? World Cup football.
Soccer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you play as a kid?
I did, yeah.
And did you follow the World Cup?
A little bit, yeah, more so than any ever in the past, for sure.
You got caught up in the fever?
A little bit, yeah.
That's nice. Why not?
Yeah, I know, why not? So it's a world. It's bringing the world together. It's another form of the Olympics, kind of.
Yeah.
I love the Olympics.
Do you?
But I watch no other sport.
That's right.
I'm not a sports guy.
No.
I mean, I enjoy going to a live game for the hot dogs and whatnot, but the excitement in the air, right? Smell of fans puking in the back.
And the quality food.
But yeah,
you
Stadium
go to monster
nachos.
truck rallies. There's not a lot of puking.
I have been to one of those. Those are great. Are you calling that sport? I guess.
Well, no, I'm saying
Are they athletes.
I mean, I can't. I guess it's because I'm a baseball guy.
Was Truckosaurus there?
But it's the same idea. You're in the stands and you're enjoying like the crowds.
Right. Well, you said people puking and the fans puking. That doesn't happen in too many baseball games.
No, you're right.
Because only if they go into extra innings, but then they shut down the concession stands after the 8th.
Are you?
He's ranting right
So
now.
you can't get wasted at extra innings games, is the point.
Sammy, I swear it seems like you have something you'd like to talk about.
Look, if I could have the camera for a second. Nah, forget it.
Stadium nachos, fan?
Stadium nachos. I haven't gone that way yet.
Okay.
But I do like nachos.
It's my favorite food.
Is it your favorite food?
No, mine.
Nachos or stadium nachos?
Specifically stadium.
Yeah, I gotta
the
say,
nachos
Taco Bell nachos get me.
Which is basically you mean just the cheese and the.
Yeah, it's just the
like
cheese, but
yeah.
something like their chips are always crunchy. And I was really pissed the day they discontinued the green onions, chopped green onions on top. I don't know why.
You have to specify the chicken now. It's like they give you the shredded chicken, and if you want the original, you have to say with the original chicken. Do you know
Why?
this?
What's the difference?
Do you ever get like a chicken soft taco there?
No.
Well, they used
Big
to
giant
it used to be like chunks of like all white meat breast, and then now it's like that shredded. It's just like shredded chicken, and you have to. But you can request now that you can have.
You have to
the
enter the secret
chicken.
code and give me the reals.
Yeah.
The real number is 912.
I want Soylent chicken, not Soylent green.
Ooh, yeah. It's Good drop there.
All right, there's one last opportunity or obligation, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, okay.
The last thing I asked the guests to do on the show is play the Larry King game. Unlike the Who Tweeted game, the Larry King game is really allowing you to reenact our favorite moment of Larry King's illustrious career, which is something he did that was brought to our attention and that we love. Before he would go to the phones and take calls, sometimes he would look at the camera and he would share something about himself that no one wanted to hear. No one needed this information, and it was just the beautiful narcissism that Larry needed you to know he really liked Oreo cookie. And then he would go to the town. So when playing the Larry King game, I need a bad Larry King impression. Pressure's off. I don't want a good one.
Okay.
A bad one makes me laugh. So I want a bad Larry King impression. And then as Larry, share something about Larry that no one wanted to know, and then go to the phones, and if the name of the city is funny sounding, it helps. There's your camera. That's the camera that Larry's going to stare down.
Do what?
Just call out the name of the city. You know, he would say, Topeka, hello. You know, whatever the name of that city is. So bad Larry King impression, Larry shares something about himself, and then go to the phone. There's your camera. When you're ready.
I'll just do my best, Larry. And
I want a bad one.
The worst. No, it'll be bad.
Yeah, good. That makes me happy.
Kevin, it's always good to have you on our show. I just wanted you all to know that sometimes when I pick my toenails, they just look so scrumptious.
No!
And I can't help it. No digestion, but just a little bit of nibbling and chewing. After a fresh shower, of course, that is. You don't want to have any of the real gunk. The only thing left over is a little bit of zest. Yeah, Salem, Oregon. What do you want?
Beautiful job.
Was that Salem, Oregon? What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was as if
the phone call interrupted his revisiting of this happy memory.
That was great. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I hope it was fairly painless.
That was great.
For the most part.
It was so much longer than I thought.
Yeah, of course. Couldn't be happier. And thanks, man.
Yeah.
Sit there comfortably for 40 seconds while I wrap things up for the folks at home. As I said at the outset, we're going to take a couple of weeks off at least. Follow the Twitter feed to find out updates as to when we're coming back. And we'll the YouTube channel as well. We're going to start doing some regular pieces and bits of previous shows in clip form as a way to say thank you and entertain. At Sam Levine, at Jamie_Fox, Jamie's Jaime. Kenny Chen says no thanks.
You know, I'm Sam with the 2 M's. Just
Sam with 2 M's. At Jason McIntyre. You're at Heater John, Jon. And is it at Josh Nager?
Probably.
Yes, there you have it.
Yes.
I want to thank those people I just mentioned by name, as well as, of course, Samantha Ward on makeup and David Mandel, the best intern the world has ever known, and, of course, Danielle Overland, our media maven. We're going to miss you while we're off. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll see you after the Labor Day. And until then, and as always, get out of my face.